back to the KIX 96.5 morning show, 9:03 on your Wednesday morning. Tomorrow night at the Wyo Theater, it's the Wyofolk Project featuring Jalon Crosland, Sarah Sample, and more. The Wyofolk Project is a recording endeavor that was engineered between July and September of 2022 in Hoback, Wyoming, featuring 14 new songs by 14 of the state's celebrated songwriters. We're excited to have one of those celebrated songwriters, Sarah Sample from Sheridan, Wyoming, on the show. First, Sarah, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks so much for having me.
Wow, well, this Wyofolk Project is from the mind of Wyoming producer, engineer, musician Aaron Davis. You've known him for years, but did he ask you? How did he get all these artists involved in the project?
Well, Aaron has always been an amazing collaborator of musicians and has been the mind behind a touring group called the Wyoamericana group that tours through Wyoming. It's different songwriters every year, and I was lucky to be part of that and got to know him really well. And then he said, I'm going to try to do another recording project called the Wyofolk Project. Luckily, it was given as a grant issued by Wyoming Arts Council and the National Endowment for the Arts. And he was able, like you said, to gather some of Wyoming's great songwriters and record new tracks and put them into recorded form. The Wyoamericana tour is like a live concert form. So this was something similar, but just a different mode. So it turned out great.
Yeah, it's a great album. Go and check it out. You record most of your stuff at June Audio in Provo, Utah. How is it recording it at this three-hearted recording studio in Hoback, Wyoming?
Well, really different, but I love changing it up, and I love Aaron's work, and so we already had a great relationship, and it's fun to go record in new places, so it was great. It was really fun. We did a live recording and then put some guitar and mandolin and things over the track after it was recorded. So it's a simple song. It's a quiet song, but I really like how it turned out.
Yeah, you're sitting in a chair in the cabin room, and Aaron, he's got a cool saying. He said that balladry delivers long tones to the cabin room. You can hear the air grow heavy in the space left between. Which you can when you listen to the song. And you just said it, Sarah. So you did this thing live. Was this one take? How many takes did we do?
Yeah, we did a few takes and then listened back to pick the best one. And when you do a live recording like that, you're always wanting to get the right feel of the song. You know, even if there's slight imperfections here and there, you want the right feeling to come across in the recording. There's different ways, of course, that I've recorded in the past. Some are you record just vocals and then you record drums or bass, and it's a layering effect. But I do love being part of a live recording because I think it gets the spirit of the song across easier. Yeah,
the song you did is called The Jury. You and Aaron are both listed on the YouTube post of it. Did you guys co-write this song? How did this song come about?
No, The Jury actually is a song, interestingly enough, that my sister, her name is Kate Graves, she wrote this song one summer while she was staying in Sheridan, Wyoming, and we were doing a lot of co-writing together. And the song takes place in a courtroom, and the relationship is on trial. So, the relationship has had a breakup. And I just loved the imagery of it and wanted to record it and wanted to, record a sad, gorgeous breakup song. I think everybody who's been in a relationship that's ended, you always want to, cast blame or figure out who did what or who's to blame. And the main, tagline of this chorus is "The jury is hung," As in most relationships, it takes two to tango, so.
Yeah, for sure. Go check Sarah out. She's at sarahsample.com. She's on Instagram, Facebook. The Wyofolk Project is tomorrow night at the Wyo Theater, 7 o'clock. Go to wyotheater.com and get your tickets. Well, I'm looking at you last night, Sarah, and I'm sitting there singing Nothing Man by Pearl Jam all night long after I heard your cover song. We're all seasoned now. I don't like we're saying we're old, but I think I'm older than you.
Older.
But, yeah, we're seasoned now. But so obviously you're a big Pearl Jam fan because you did the cover a few years back.
Yeah, I love that song. Actually, my husband is a huge Pearl Jam fan, and so yeah, it was. I love Pearl Jam, but not in the way that he loves Pearl Jam. So it was a gift that keeps giving.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. We actually recorded that song live as well, and that you can listen to that on YouTube. And it was fun to do a different take on such a great song. So
yeah, if you go to her,
Nothing Man.
Yeah, go to YouTube, go to her Facebook page. You can see the live video right there. It's awesome. Your last single came out this summer, "In My Arms." Tell us about this song.
Yes.
It's a simple love song.
Yeah, "In My Arms" is it's a lullaby. It wasn't produced like a lullaby, but it started out just as a simple song on piano, and it's about how having a baby completely, turns your world upside down, but it also kind of opens your eyes and your heart to new experiences that you'd never have any other way. And a few years ago in 2014, I did a lullaby project with a friend of mine, Edie Carey, and we toured that record around the country. It was really well received and won a bunch of awards. And we're planning on doing version 2 coming out in a year or so. So this was a track that she helped me co-write, and it came out on Mother's Day. So any parents out there, this is a good one for you.
Yeah, "In My Arms" by Sarah Sample, her latest single. Go check it out. The June Audio in Provo. How did you find that? Are you from Utah? How did you find the studio?
No, I'm not from Utah, but the producer, his name is Scott Wiley. He's the owner and engineer and producer. He actually used to work in L.A. and grew up in L.A. and worked in a bunch of studios. His wife was from Utah, and they relocated there, and he was able to kind of build studios, that were much more affordable than if he was going to be in Los Angeles and be in control of them. So he's had a few studios actually in Utah, and I got to be part of like an early recording. I would say probably like 2007 is when we first started working together, and they just became my music family. A lot of the bands that were playing on my records also have their own music, and then we got together and created a big mega band. It's kind of like a hymn revival band called the Lower Lights that I'm part of, and we still tour and play with that big band as well. So it just became my landing, ground for making music, and a place that I love to go and create.
Yeah, it works. It keeps continuing to work, that's for sure. You love, co-writing with people. You mentioned Edie. I had Dave from the 2 Tracks on the show. He told a story about you guys co-writing some songs, or you showed him a few different styles of writing. You were taking clippings out of, magazines. You were all kinds of crazy stuff. Do you enjoy that more, working with other people?
I love it. I mean, I write a lot of songs by myself, but I've been a songwriter, since I was small. I started writing songs in junior high, 6th and 7th grade. And when you co-write, you end up in a place you would never be by yourself. You have another collaborator there, and it's always just, sometimes it's magic, sometimes it's not. It's a lot of work, of course.
Yeah.
So I do both styles. I was lucky enough to be gifted time to be a UCross resident this summer, and that was a really special experience to have a few weeks to myself in a cabin with my instruments around me, and just to wake up every morning and do some improvisation. And like you said, I sometimes will do free writes or cut words out of books, all sorts of different ways to approach the art of songwriting. So yeah, I like to get creative about it and like to try new things, and co-writing is just one of the avenues that I like to do.
Yeah, go check Sarah out, sarahsample.com. She's on Instagram, Facebook. The Wyofolk Project is tomorrow night at the Wyo Theater, 7 o'clock. Well, tomorrow night, there's a ton of you. What are we looking forward to for tomorrow night?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's going to be so much fun. I think there's 12 of us that are going to be performing some of our own songs, and then we're also going to end the show with kind of a few big band numbers with everybody on stage together. So it's going to be a great time, and it's a great way to support Wyoming songwriters and musicians. There's so many great ones. I've met many of these people through the years playing music, and they're all so talented, and it means so much to us when you show up in person and buy our songs and buy our albums and come say hello. So it's tomorrow night, and we can't wait to see you.
Yeah, go check them out tomorrow night, 7 o'clock at the Wyo Theater. Well, you kind of mentioned it. How long do we get to play? Do you get 3 songs? You get a certain time limit? What are they giving you?
Yeah, I think because there's so many of us, we each get to play, I think it's about 2 or 3 songs, and then, like I said, a few group numbers at the end. But we don't want to take you till midnight. We're not that kind of town, so.
Yeah. Well, in Wyoming artists, there is a ton of you out there. I don't know if the world knows that yet. Do we get enough love for Wyoming artists?
I mean, we can always use more love, right?
Yeah.
I will say that Wyoming is a wonderful state to make music because there's not that many people compared to other states and other music scenes. And so you really get to have a chance to showcase your work and meet a lot of other musicians on a regular basis. So especially the projects like Aaron Davis is putting together where we get to collaborate and tour together and show up at festivals together. It's all awesome. So.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned you got something else with Edie. What's coming down the pipe? We got new music. What's happening?
Yeah, so I have right now about 3 new singles that I'm waiting to release. They'll come out every few months. And that would be on all streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, all of those things. Turns out that people don't really buy CDs anymore unless you're at a live show. So we will have CDs tomorrow night at the Wyo. But I have some singles coming out, and then Edie and I are going to be making another lullaby record next year, and we'll be touring it through the summer. So,
yeah, what's changed?
Now.
I mean, you've been at this for a long time. I mean, probably like 20 years. What's changed? What's the biggest change in the music industry?
The biggest change is that people, because of streaming services and services like Spotify, people don't really pay for music anymore. And so musicians are facing a really hard time to be able to make a living being a musician because people can just listen for free and, don't really listen to physical music. Some people still listen to CDs and buy record albums and vinyl, but most people who listen to music are using streaming services, which, aren't fairly compensating the artist. So it's really important more than ever to show up at live shows and support the music that you love or buy their albums online or, go to Bandcamp or go to their websites and, show up for them in a new way. I think artists are having to find new creative outlets or honestly, a lot of them also have other jobs, day jobs that they're doing while trying, to be a working artist. So I think the biggest change, like I said, is just streaming services. But yet, that being said, if you go onto your favorite band's website, there's so much music out there and so many bands are hitting the pavement and are bringing music to live venues across America. So it's a great time to go see live music in the world.
Yeah, go support live musicians, that's for sure. Go support them tomorrow night. They're at the Wyo Theater, 7 o'clock, the Wyofolk Project. 12 of the 14 artists will be there tomorrow night, so it's going to be a huge show. Go and get your tickets at wyotheater.com. Sarah, thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This has been fun.
Here is Sarah's song off the Wyofolk Project. It's called The Jury. Sarah Sample. It's KIX 96.5.